All right, everyone. Episode 5 of Not Another Powerlifting Podcast. Obviously, today it's just Gray and myself. No guests. We weren't traveling this weekend. We had some plans to go interview someone, and they kind of fell through. But we're going to go out next weekend, couple weekends next month. Looking into making some phone calls with some bigger name lifters and coaches as well. So, some more stuff to look forward to. So we put out on our Instagram or whatever, we put out a message what we wanted to talk about, what people wanted to hear us talk about this episode. And a couple of responses we got was advice for new lifters. We've talked about it with Swede and Anthony Oliveira and Joe and Loans Green as well. So it was kind of a consistent talking point throughout our podcast. It's one of the reasons why we made this podcast was to help new lifters, novice lifters, intermediate lifters like us, So we wanted to talk about it a little bit and just share not only our advice, but stuff that we've picked up along the way. So, Gray, I don't know if you want to start, but just some things that you've picked up. I have some things that I've learned for sure that I know if I was to start over, the biggest thing I would say if I was to start over is don't rush. And
I 100% agree.
It's easy to get tunnel vision when you get those beginner noob gains, whatever you want to call them. And I'm guilty of it. I suffered a pretty bad back injury when I first started. So that's would be the first talking point I would say is just show up for a long period of time consistently, and you will be one of the strongest dudes in the gym. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And a big thing that I want to put out there that I know Tone talked about, and really everybody we've talked to has said something, whether it be on camera or off camera, but you kind of have to check your sources on a lot of shit.
Yep.
With social media being what it is now, and everybody being a coach and everybody having 3 spots left, it's very easy to, find something. And Joe Sullivan said this, which this is a good point, but I'm going to use it to prove a point. Joe talked about, in our podcast, he talked about finding somebody that you're built similar to and looking what they do. And that's fine. You can do that. But the one issue with that would be, I may be built, unfortunately, for whoever this is going to be in this scenario, I may be built similar to somebody online that doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. And just because they have 10,000 followers, they might be putting out training programs, but they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And, it's not hard to, I have a little bit of an up on the game just because of my college education and things along those lines, but it's not hard to find good sources like Elite FTS, Westside, people like along those lines. They have a whole section on both their sites of just books to read on training. Like I said, you have to kind of discern who knows what the fuck they're talking about and who's full of shit. And, that could be your leg up in this is, take the time, invest in reading, even if it's, even if you want to, say you follow Jim Wendler and you decide you want to train linear periodization like a 5-3-1 type style training, you have the opportunity to go online and buy all the books, buy all of his books and read them, and the other thing is, once you find somebody that knows what the fuck they're talking about, and that's part of the reason why we wanted to do this, like Josh mentioned, we will never have somebody on here that doesn't know their shit and hasn't proven their shit, but...
And one point too, before I forget, that Swede, if you guys reference, video 4?
Yeah,
Swede.
Episode 4.
And he made one of the best points I've ever heard is ask why. It doesn't matter how stronger that person is than you or how many followers they have on Instagram or how much online coaching they do or whatever.
Absolutely.
Swede said it best. He said, there is not one thing myself or my lifters or anyone that comes in my gym that I'm programming for is doing that I can't tell you why, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you walk up to some bro and they're shrugging 8 plates for doubles, and you say why, and they just say, well, cuz, or they say something stupid, it
Because I want
doesn't
my
sound
traps
right.
to look fucking nice.
That's probably a sign that that person is just a retard, and they're just
being dumb.
Yeah.
Well,
So always asking why. If you're the point I'm trying to make is what Gray's saying is to siphon out the bullshit. Ask questions. Just because you're new doesn't mean you can ask questions. We all have questions.
No, 100%.
We have questions every single day
And
with these guys we're interviewing.
The thing is, eventually, if you're in this long enough, if you're in training, not even just powerlifting, but you're in training for whatever it might be, even if you just want to be generally in shape, you can get a personal trainer and you can ask these guys questions and you can buy programs off of them. I mean, I've bought programs off of people. Josh has done programs of people. He's bought programs also. But there's going to come a point where you progress far enough, if you're in this long enough, that you're going to have to figure your own shit out. Okay? And if you don't ask those questions and discern who's full of shit and who knows what the fuck they're talking about, you're going to get to that point, if you make it there, if you're lucky enough to make it there without asking these questions, and you're not going to know what the fuck to do. You're going to hit the biggest wall that you possibly could. And, it's very easy to reach out and ask fucking questions. It's these guys.
That's how we started this.
Yeah, that's literally how we started this. That literally, not to give too much information, not that it really fucking matters, but our whole process as far as getting people on here to be interviewed has been through social media, and me or him just reaching out and saying hey, would you mind taking an hour out of your time one day if we were willing to travel to you to sit down and talk to us? We don't, again, not to give out too much information, might make us look shitty, but it's the honest to God truth. We never really have a fucking plan, like a game plan as far as what we're going to talk about with these people. They're the ones with the information here. Let them fucking talk to you.
Yeah.
Josh made a point to say, listen, it's okay to have questions, and it's okay to, you could reach out to these guys. I'm guilty of it. There's guys, that have done training for me, that I've done training for, that, either reach out to me every day or I reach out to them every day just to talk and, get a better grasp on what's going on. I don't know, some people are different. Some people can blindly just get a piece of paper and, it says whatever the training is for that day, and they follow it and they do it and they go balls out and they leave and it works, and that's fine. But again, when you're going to come to, that would be fine if this was a short-term pursuit, but it's absolutely not, barring genetic freaks.
Yeah.
Some people come into the sport and they just dominate.
Yeah.
But
that's everything. That's life.
Those are few and far between. But if you don't ask questions, once you make it to, if you are in this for the long term, and this is something that I harp on to people a lot, if you're in this for the long term, you have to learn something. You're going to learn something anyway.
Yeah.
But you have to learn more. To be better, you're going to have to learn more than the next guy.
Yep.
So don't be afraid to, reach out to. I don't really fucking care if somebody's on Instagram, if they're popular. Say they're here's a fine example. I can't tell you off the top of my head because I really don't fucking care how many followers people have on Instagram. Dave Tate, and I'm not just saying that because I'm wearing an Elite FTS shirt. Dave Tate will respond to any DM you send him. He says that all the time.
Yep.
And, at first, I'm not going to lie, I kind of thought, he probably responds to a lot of them, but not all of them. Anytime I've ever sent Dave a message, he's responded to me.
Yep.
Who the fuck am I? You know what I mean? He doesn't know me. He doesn't know who the fuck I am. I've not done anything in this sport that's worth anything, right? But he takes the time to respond to me. So reach out and ask those questions because they're going to benefit you in the long run. The worst that's going to happen is that you learn something or you learn what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
Yep. And the next point I wanted to make too, you can weigh on this as well, but it's kind of another trend that we got was not overthinking, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you start, it's who used the pyramid reference? Joe?
Everybody uses the pyramid reference.
Who we just talked to. Was it Joe?
Yeah, I believe it was Joe.
I think it was episode 3. We were talking to Joe, and when you start, you can do pretty much anything. You can go into the gym and punch a punching bag, or do pull-ups, or bench, run conjugate, run dump, run anything, and you're going to get stronger. So don't when you're getting into it, don't overthink it. Like, yeah, consistency is great and sticking to your plan is great, but find a plan and stick to it and don't stress about it. Just trust that process, and trust me, you'll get stronger. You can when you're starting, you can do anything. Now, Larry Wheels, Eric Lillibridge, Andre Milanichev, those guys might have to be a little more specific. Those guys might have to do a little bit more now that they're there because they're at the tip of the pyramid. You're down here. You have so much stuff that can get you stronger. It's insane.
See, what Josh is getting at is the saying that he's trying to convey is a pyramid's only as tall as its base. So what we mean by that is, like I talked about, you're going to have to learn some shit, right? So when you come in, you can have a huge, wide variety of exercises, right? And you can have those exercises, but as you get better and as you progress, you're going to have to slowly taper in. And that's when you get to the point when you're as advanced as you can be, and that's when you're going to have to figure your shit out because not everything is going to work anymore. I mean, I'm sure anybody listening to this that's been training for any amount of time, I'm sure there's one exercise that you've had that you've done it, you got real good results off of it, and then eventually it stops working. It's like, fuck. That was my ace in the hole, right? Mm-hmm. I'll straight up tell you, for anybody that's listening to this, and it hasn't stopped working for me yet, but I am going to beat it to death until it does. Chest supported rows are my ace in the hole, and Josh can attest to that too because he's big on those. But, Josh brought up a good point as far as, you have to know people that know their shit, and you have to talk to people that know their shit. However, I'm going to quote another podcast, and I'm sure if you guys listen to this, I'm sure you listen to them. It's Barbell Shrugged, and it was in an episode with Chad Wesley Smith. He talks about Klokov, and the first time he talked to Klokov, and Klokov said something, if I'm not mistaken, it was Klokov, said something along the lines of, mind you, he's probably the greatest weightlifter of our generation, Olympic weightlifter. He said something to the effect of, when I was young and my brothers would go to the gym, I would run around the gym and do all the exercises. Yeah. Because they all fucking worked. Yeah. Now he's the greatest. Back to the pyramid. Now he's the greatest weightlifter in the world. However, I can guarantee you that if you will go into the gym with him, he's not doing all the exercises anymore. And if you're going to look to somebody like Larry Wheels, who sells programming, if you're a fan of Larry Wheels, check out his shit. Eric Lillibridge, who sells programming, if you're a fan of their shit, check it out. But, they are not doing what's working for them because they're so advanced might not work for somebody like Josh or like me, because they've gotten to the point, anybody that's, just for example, anybody that's gone from a 315 to a 405 squat, okay, what you did to get to 315 isn't going to work to get you to 405. It might help, but you're going to have to add some shit, you're going to have to do some shit different, And you can look to these big name lifters and these high level lifters and see what they're doing, but you also have to look backward and see what got them there to be able to do what they do now to have it work. Yep. And that comes back to, find somebody that knows their shit. Like, I will be 100% the first person to say this, and, I've talked to him about this after the fact, and it's just the honest to God truth. One of the smartest guys we've sat down with so far was Tony Oliveira. He knows his shit like the back of his hand. And, I mean, that's how he makes his living, is he trains clients. But, you can look to these big name level guys, like these big high level guys, or people that have followers on Instagram or whatever the fuck you care, whatever the measure is of someone's success now. And, they might just be a person, and I'm sure somebody listening to this will relate to what I'm about to say. They might just be a person that is just fucking strong. I mean, I know people, and Josh knows people that regardless of what they do when they come into the gym, they're going to get stronger, and it's not a problem for them to get stronger, and it's easy. And, you might look at that and say, like, wow, that guy has an 800-pound squat. Like, he must know his shit. Not necessarily. He might not know why he got where he got. He might have just got there. Yeah. And some people, that happens to some people, and you have to do your fucking research. You have to read, you have to figure the shit out. It's just a big puzzle, and there's people that can help you put it together, but you have to be able to figure it out yourself.
Yep.
to some degree. Like I said, you can have help, but Josh is laying over there all fucking sprawled out. But, you have to, discern who you're talking to. You have to discern who's full of shit, who's not full of shit. You have to take your time with your training.
Yeah, you have to. Patience is a big thing.
The famous quote is that this is a marathon, not a sprint, and that's honest to God the fucking truth. You could go at it hard at first, which is fine because you're taking advantage of those beginner gains or whatever you want to call them. But once those stop, you have to get. Lones Green talks about being a very cerebral lifter a lot, and that's something that kind of struck me in a way because once those beginner gains stop, you have to start getting into discerning who's full of shit and who's not, reaching out, getting answers to your questions, getting new ideas. Josh will attest to this. Josh and I send each other movements. We train the conjugate method. Josh and I send each other movements and new shit to do and this and that, whatever, at least once a day. One of us will send a message back and forth to the other.
Usually it's him sending it to me.
Yeah, usually it's me sending it because I'm a fucking nutcase and I'm always looking for new shit.
But, yeah, exactly what Gray's saying is just do your best to siphon out the bullshit like we were talking about earlier. Ask questions, more specifically, ask why.
Yeah.
Consistency over a long period of time is key. Not overthinking. Just showing up for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And staying injury free. Those all coincide, and I would say those couple things I just listed are the main trends from talking to handful, 10, 20 really top lifters and top coaches that Gray and I have talked to. They've all said the same thing. They've all said the same thing that we've just said. And just listen too. Listen, because you can learn something from anyone. You can go into a commercial gym. And you can learn something from that gym bro. Seriously. He may be doing something really retarded, and you're like, okay, I just learned that I'm not going to do that. But you can. I've never met a person that I can't take something from, for better or for worse. So
I'm gonna reference a friend of ours. He's actually the one that got Josh into powerlifting, and he's the one that kind of kept me in powerlifting and pushed me farther into it. His name's Jordan Welker. Jordan, if you're watching this, fuck you. That was a shout out to Anthony Oliveira on Brian Hill. But, Jordan is a guy, and me and Josh talked about this a lot, and we always jack him for it, but it's the truth. Jordan is a guy that anybody he meets in any type of gym or athletic...
He'll help them no matter what.
He will help them no matter what.
It's scary.
And he will know everything about that fucking person. Within 15 minutes of meeting them, and Josh is laughing because this is the honest to God truth. He'll know about
He'll take a girl. I don't know, just some random girl in the gym.
He'll know your fucking family. He'll know everything within 15 minutes of meeting you.
But he wants that.
But the reason behind that, and I'm going to speak for Jordan, but I'd be willing to say that I'm right because I know Jordan pretty well. Is Jordan, you might see that as like, oh, I don't want to talk to this. It's fucking annoying, especially people like me because I don't want to talk to anybody ever. But, Jordan is a guy that he would talk to somebody just to see if he can get a little bit of information out of them. And it might be something as simple as, him talking to a bodybuilder and them telling him how to train shoulders.
Yeah, accessory work, something like that.
And, that might be...
And same with strongman. And
that might be something that he asked the bodybuilder about, and the bodybuilder tells him how to train shoulders, and he's like, I'm not ever going to fucking use it. And then 2 years down the road, he's benching and he has shoulder pain, can't figure out why. Yeah. Maybe if I try to do the shit that this guy told me to get my shoulders bigger, maybe I won't have pain anymore. Then he does it and it works, and that's what Josh means when he says, you can take something from anybody.
Yeah.
You might not use it right away, but those little nuggets all come together. You're building momentum when you get information like that, just like training. If you go for a day and you skip your next day and you skip the second day, but then you go back a full week the next week, but then you skip the next Monday, you're not building any momentum there. But if you go day after day after day after day after day, eventually that's going to build up into such momentum that, if you have to miss a day, which I know none of us like to do, but if for whatever reason, shit happens and you have to miss a day, not really going to bite you in the ass that hard.
Yeah.
Right? So, I don't know.
So, that was just what we wanted to cover real quick. Beginner lifters starting in the sport. It's growing in popularity. So
yeah, it is, absolutely.
we just wanted to highlight those couple things. Gray and I aren't talking like we're experts on it. We're just all we're doing is being messengers for the guys that we've talked to so far. If you guys like our videos, share them, subscribe to our channel. Let us know who you guys want us to have on next. Let us know questions you want us to ask.
Yeah, feel free to DM us on our Instagram account. It's at Not Another Powerlifting Pod. You could send us you can leave us a comment on YouTube if you want to. Just don't be a fucking troll, because I will shred you.
Facts.
But seriously, like, if you guys want to see somebody on, we'll try to get them on. You know, if you have questions for us about anything, feel free to reach out.
We're probably gonna start having people. We're probably going to start doing voice calls,
yeah,
so
or
we're able to reach. There's only so many lifters in Columbus and Pittsburgh and Ohio and Philly
like
that we can
yeah.
interview. So but
yeah, I mean,
we'll keep continuously dropping consistent content. As long as people are using it. So if you guys like it, let us know, and we appreciate all the subscribers so far.
Yeah, we've had a really overwhelmingly good response. I will be truthful, I did not expect the amount of people to get behind us.
I think we have 50 subscribers already.
50 subscribers, we have over 100
basically
people on
rich.
Instagram. Yeah, we're basically famous.
All right, well, we're going to go train max effort lower now, but thank you guys, and let us know.